All right. Will, you want to take us off?
Sure. Uh, welcome everyone to tonight's episode of For Chess Cast.
Hold on. Sorry. I have a hotkey I need to remove.
Anyway, we're gonna go over the Guilty Gear characters that had not been revealed last week when we did our last episode. Give everyone our thoughts on those, and after that, we're gonna talk a little bit about uh, the regional this weekend. And Justin will sit and listen because he's not going.
Now, in what universe have I ever just listened to people?
I
That's
just
the
want to.
biggest lie you've ever told.
I just want to be hopeful,
He's
man.
just trying to will it
Once.
into existence.
And it
I am, in
won't
fact.
work.
If I had control over the stream, I could do it, but I don't.
Yeah,
Shame you
mute just-
don't.
But I do have control over the YouTube VOD.
Yeah, but are you gonna put in the effort to edit? Like
Absolutely
You're gonna
not.
mute us and
Absolutely
mute my
not.
voice the entire time. Good luck.
I
with
am that petty. I'm not that motivated.
Yeah. Justin's talk turns entirely into just subtitles, and you
Imagine
overlay
we had,
his voice with some random Disney movie
Here's
or
the thing,
something
that
in
would be
Spanish.
so funny. I wouldn't even be mad at you for it.
We just have to we just have to commit to buying some of those many podcast publishing programs and because serious people they just have everyone record vocally and then stitch it together in post, right? So it's not just recording a potentially laggy VOD and whatever. And then it's you already have 4 audio streams, so it's really easy to fuck around with whoever's.
Hey, Jack, can you try talking for a second? I want to make sure the chat box popped up.
Get him, Broberg.
Hi, I am chat.
We got it. Let me make it the right size. Thank you, Chad. Okay. This is what happens when we move on to new equipment. This is the laptop's new equipment, which hopefully will never shut down or anything like that.
Also, on the upside, it seems that you aren't lagging on our end, at least not for me. Like you were last week.
This laptop, everything about this stuff is much better.
Good.
Than everything else.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. We can actually play games and do stuff at the same time. We're off the rails very early on this stream.
We're closer to the rails than we used to be.
That's true. We don't talk about those first weeks. All right. Will, what are we starting off talking about?
I don't remember the order that they were posted.
Just tell me whichever character. I'll put on whatever character you want to yap about, buddy.
Let's go. Bridget. Yeah, sure. We'll start with the cool one.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Bridget's very interesting. So obviously there's all the infinite loop stuff that people are cooking up, but I don't even want to think too much about those even. Just this idea of 7 hand size plus -2 speed, twice per turn with a bunch of synergy hooks and occasionally get some momentum feels like a good package.
Absolutely.
That seems like it can only be so bad. Right? It has to at least be decent.
Right.
Yeah. I think obviously we have to mention Fillet Fling because yes, that's the loop card and the loop card might be good. The loop might not be good. It might be too easy to answer, whatever. But that card's just going to be crazy in this character anyways. You're just going to get to pick up any single attack you want as long as you play it in the right sequencing. Even when you're not looping your opponent, just picking up another really powerful open card you opened with is going to do a lot in this deck.
Yeah, maybe. I'm a flim-fling enjoyer. I think when you're not slamming damage in every move, the idea that you're going to do this check on a 5 to go pick up your first move that might be a 5 diff is
sure.
Cards are moving around and you're picking an attack up at your card pool and that feels very exciting, but there is a cost that you're doing to do this, and it's not going to be, it's certainly not going to blow people up on 2 or anything.
For sure. There's a really deep idea kind of about that when you're getting into playing kind of Fillet Fling decks, and this is a little bit crystallized from when we played with your Jamie deck a few weeks ago. If you play an attack turn that's 8 checks wide, it's kind of very natural and kind of easy to just get into this heuristic of I'll just check 5s on stuff and it'll be okay. And then you build your foundation, you get your foundations ready, and I'll have some level of buffer. But in kind of the same way that if you have draw 1, it's well, maybe it'll be an attack I'll be excited and lucky. If you draw 3, it's it's almost never draw 3 attacks off the top. It's exponentially falling off, where
Right.
you're pretty likely to draw 1. You'll rarely draw 2. You'll almost never draw 0 or 3, or you'll rarely draw 0. It's like 20 or a quarter of the time you'll draw 0 in that case. But anyway, like you'll have to check several 3s, and your worst case scenario can be catastrophic, right? It can cost, like, if you play 8 attacks, you're trying to play 8 attacks on the string, you can check 8. It is possible to check 8 3s and cost a million foundations to pay for that. You can never pay for that
for
in
sure.
any reasonable on a staging area. And that's kind of the just like the trade-offs of playing a deck that doesn't have a lot of damage on it. You end up having to make a lot of these control checks. And for a long time, we didn't print loop enablers. We didn't print cards shaped like Fillet Fling or Military Airship or whatever else. And so, a normal attack turn would be like a Godzilla attack turn, where it's like 4 or 5 attacks at the high end. But this design space makes it possible that you can play a different shape of deck with the trade-offs that come with that.
I do think the cards that I'm very interested in, like, because you need to find attacks that are like both something you're going to probably want to open with, but also like cheap enough that you can play it as the 3rd, 4th, or 5th attack if you're going to do the Fillet Fling stuff and feel okay with it. The 2 that immediately come to my mind are like, oh man, Bridget's going to pick up like Sweeping Daggers. You're going to open Sweeping Daggers, remove something really good, and then you're going to get to pick that up. Or if your opponent like starts off with 4 committed, which in mid to late game is very common to happen, you go like Walk the Dog, some other attack, Fillet Fling, pick up Walk the Dog. That seems like that could do a lot in a lot of matchups. Is that enough, given that like the Fillet Fling almost feels like an action at that point because it's a 3 damage move? Who knows?
And you have to, notably, you have to give up the possibility of, because you're Bridget, if something lands, you could have just put that face down your momentum.
Right.
So now you've also spent a momentum de facto.
That is the interesting thing in this situation. So like because you can't Fillet Fling as the 2nd attack because your thing won't be face down unless it's an echo move. So you have to go like move, Fillet Fling, which means you will still have a thing in momentum to stuff, or thing in your card pool stuff in momentum, because you attack, flip, whatever you're
but if your 2nd attack hits, you have to say that instead of taking a momentum,
yes,
I'm going to Fillet Fling this back to my hand.
Right.
That's 100% true. And I do think that is worth noting with this character, though. Like, the first ability is the cool loop enabler. It's the one I've seen a lot of talk about. Get twice per turn saying when you deal damage, not only clear a card from your card pool, but that card you're clearing goes into your momentum. On its own is a really, really powerful ability, especially for any sort of string character. She's not on a Gigantification Swing symbol, is she?
No, I don't think so.
Because God, if she had a Gigantification Swing where she could then like get +1 to all her checks, I'd be so ready for some stuff with that. But yeah, there is a lot that this character can do with her abilities.
Yeah, I mean, instead of playing all these Fillet Flings, you could be playing Hungry for Fames.
Yeah.
And accomplish largely the same thing without some of the wonkiness.
Mm-hmm.
Tim, I really love what you said about, you just kind of pointed out that the cost of flip on attacking your card pool, if it landed, is now if you're going to pass the turn, if you're not going to win this right now, that is a cost of momentum, in fact. And so I really love the kind of that element of tension that with there, where we kind of see it a little bit in Pony if you play an actually close game with Pony. She has the same trade-off of like you can stop attacking because you want and have something to spend that momentum on. Yes, I did say tension. I think tension is a valuable way to frame the game, way to understand the game. It's what makes a good game, is that it has some tension in it, as well as the tension keyword, which also captures the same value. So it's really kind of a peak university situation, you might say. Anyway, it's cool. It's exciting.
Yeah. Long story short, I wouldn't be surprised if the top finishing Bridgets that aren't trying to do the loop stuff are just not even running Fling.
It's possible.
I think that's a distinct possibility.
It is very possible. I think this is a character. One of the cool things when you don't have any keyword gating on your character at all is it means her character is super open-ended, and there are like multiple very, very reasonable directions I can see you taking this character. I do want to.
Justin, can you pull up Kickstart Your Heart if we want to
Oh, sure.
transitioning from
I was
that.
going to talk very briefly about her UR, but we can pull a Kickstart Your Heart. I'd love to.
I think this is in the newsletter, so go subscribe to UBS Games newsletter, wherever you can do that.
Yeah, real quick, I like her UR. It's a 3 difficulty attack with the frenzy keyword that's playable, and so it already wins in my book.
Yeah.
I don't know the parsing exactly how good or not it is. Probably pretty neat.
It's a card that I think will be a lot of fun to experiment with. I mean, it's not one of those cards you read it and go, "Oh my god, this is going to be broken." Or it's an automatic 4 of in this character or anything like that. But it's a card that just does interesting stuff. And like I think also like the end of turn ability saying, "Hey, if I didn't kill you this turn, I get to pick up an attack, so it'll be easier for me to sculpt on future turns." It's like a very reasonable effect for a card to
I
have.
want to block. Forget about sculpting.
That's
I'll
true.
pick up the best block in my card pool.
Sure. You can do both. Or not
That's
both,
'cause-
but either one.
That's because you like surviving. I like damage reduction, man.
Also, I will like to
card pool
note.
pick up a deflect that you deflected with.
True.
Speaking of deflect, this is a character that actually gets to play Acid Screen with a straight face.
Yes.
Ooh, I like that. Kickstart Your Heart is an action just for those of you who didn't read the newsletter. It's a 4-diff action. Enhance, this non-throw attack gets Echo. And it gets -1 if you've used a Roman cancel ability this turn. I don't see that part probably happening too much. I could see it happening on like the remove if a blocked attack cleared and draw a card, maybe. This
Yeah,
card's
I
very
mean,
interesting.
it says you can burn a momentum to the freeze to get -1 difficulty or something.
Sure.
Right? There's
And
things
that's
you
not
can
bad.
do. Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about this card as much as some might. I think it's a cool card in concept, but the giving an attack echo, it already puts a card in your card pool to do that because this sits in the card pool. So it's not necessarily like using the echo to reduce your progressive at all, like echo normally kind of does, gives you more attacks for less progressive. But there are characters, not necessarily that exist right now, but I could see a character that either very proactively like can clear actions from card pool. We don't have Allura on symbol, but an Allura type card could do a lot with a move like this. Or Bridget, like if this is a thing that Bridget could put down, get herself +2 speed, and then on her first attack get a momentum immediately because she could clear this. Like there are definitely worlds where a bunch of different characters could consider this if they can consistently get it out of the card pool.
And speaking of Acid Fling or Acid Screen, give this Echo, flip it face down for 2 speed, and then Acid Screen ignores progressive. It's fine. There's your Echo card.
Yeah, it's certainly Bridget coded because you think about the sequence of events, right? You play this, you give the thing, you turn it face down. It now has Echo. You turn it face down with Bridget. It now has 2 speed. It lands because you gave it 2 speed. It goes in your momentum. Now I can pay for the Echo. Ha ha ha.
Right.
Yeah, that's the whole idea. I think this reminds me a lot of an old Soul Calibur card called Suffer My Bloodlust, which was a card that did some similar shaped things that let you replay a move with some different things tied to it. And it saw a little bit of play. People tried to do some cool creative stuff with it.
It topped its first PTC with a very degenerate deck, playing a very degenerate card that we never banned.
Yeah, and so it's gonna, people find some stuff to do with it. It'll look pretty cool sometimes. I think ultimately it's hard for a card for this to be quote unquote unfair because you could have always just drawn 2 copies of the thing. In theory, right? So that's sort of a cap on its power level in some kind of a sense. Plus Echo costs momentum plus, right? But
yeah, it's so spicy, it's so exciting. But then,
yeah, it's a cool card that people will have a lot of fun brewing with.
Yeah,
that rationally has a fairly safe ceiling to it.
Yeah, I realize
so you don't have to be like
that
worried about it being overpowered. It'll just be cool.
Yeah, I think there's actually a decent analogy to the Dark Tournament Looms as another blue card that checks good, that costs a momentum and becomes a copy of a good attack.
Right.
Yeah. Hopefully, ideally.
Is there anything we can do with this card having the charge keyword, or is it just there for fun?
Patchwork Baby's Echo is fun. And
oh, true.
Even better if you Subi daggers their Patchwork Baby, now it's 2 more damage.
True.
This is kind of going back to Bridget as a whole, I think this is the character I am the most interested in or most expecting to see show up in high tables. I think there are a few characters that can, and we'll probably be talking about a few more of them as we go through today. But like Bridget on face just has a lot of really powerful abilities implicitly. And a lot of really interesting abilities. And she's also a fan favorite, which means people are going to want to play her for like the fan favoriteness of playing her.
Yep.
So I think like big win.
I'm gonna put Bridget in my Irwin Hanji tier of if I made a champ character that was this base, I would feel honored to be able to have my face on this card.
Absolutely.
Right. I would not invent this because this needs like support from a set. You don't get to do that designing a champ card, but this is so cool.
All right. Who do we want to talk about next?
Let's just move on to May.
May, absolutely. So
Yucky.
this is the one that we were waiting a little bit to get her when it was first being discussed. And the good news is when she came out, she was really interesting. I'm going to go ahead and read because it's a little small there. May has the pirate keyword. Who knows if that'll be relevant? Your deck may include up to 8 copies of one ally attack card. And enhance your attack gets +2 damage. If that attack has the same name as another card in your card pool, you may flip 1 foundation to ready it. Where are we feeling with this character?
I think she's cool. I want to see if there are any better ally attack options in the set that aren't better than beast summoning, for example, to run 8 copies of. But
yeah,
go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, I'm kind of medium on this. It's cool. It's another one sort of like the action we were just talking about. People will have
analogy,
people are going to have a lot of fun coming up with cool things they can do with this, and they will be happy, and it will be decent at the very least. You're getting +2 damage to everything. It can only be so bad, but also, do your cool thing and get +2 damage to stuff, and sometimes get a foundation back is, not a scary power level in any competitive sense of the word.
Sure.
So, this will be cool. People will have fun with it. People will play it at regional sometimes because people play anything at a regional, but I'd be surprised that, again, you get to do a really cool thing. It almost can't be broken in theory, right? So that's a cool design space to be in.
Yeah, like the marginal value of Hunter's ally is not close to high enough to justify dedicating your character to having twice spending in your deck.
Yeah,
right.
When there's like specific synergies like beast summoning where it's like I need both copies of it to work, like that gets a little more plausible, but still kind of unbelievable that like most pony decks don't play 4 of that card,
Sure.
When they play that card at all. And yeah, I think that I'm kind of a pessimist about May being a league competitor, but like I'm very delighted that she exists and that she seems fun.
Yeah, I think my thought on it is like I look at her static ability, and barring attacks that specifically benefit with additional copies of their name, which the only allies I know of is like beast summoning, and what's the Tokoyami in Momentum one?
Oh god. Oh, Black Abyss, yeah.
Black Abyss.
I've changed my mind. In the same club, Tasty Riff is dope. And Tasty Riff does get better at multiples.
True.
Sure.
It gets spicy.
It gets a bit better multiples, and this would be spicy playing 8 of it. But like for the most part, unless your card like explicitly gets really powerful when you have additional copies available to you, this is more of a consistency booster than a ceiling booster. You can see like that really cool ally attack you need more consistently, but your lines are probably not going to be that much stronger. Barring us getting like an actual ally walk the dog. I know she has her 8 diff, but I don't really consider that one's
I wouldn't
like
I wouldn't play that as 8 copies.
That's more like a little bit worse teaming, and it would really have to justify teaming the attack titan at 8 copies in a deck like that anyways. So like barring an actual walk the dog type card that like looks for additional copies of its name and is a really powerful card independently, that you would want to see 8 copies of it and like to really do ceiling stuff, I don't see her being that broken. +2 damage is meh in like the current game. It's fine.
I noticed that there's a in addition to like what if there's another ally attack, there's a bit of let's see the set going on here with
absolutely
the mysterious blitz flip 3 ally attacks in your card pool : for minor payoff is like there has to be something else going on
No,
here. There has
no,
to be like
it's
some
it's
other
it's a
card that's
progressive
supposed to.
difficulty.
Right.
It stays in the card pool through the end phase. Is the joke on Great Monarch?
Oh, that's this turn. Okay. Okay, so maybe that is
Oh.
just what it's doing.
That's the joke. Yeah,
Okay.
100%.
I had not
Uh,
caught that actually. I'm glad that
The
you
little
caught that.
mini Wrath of Heaven. Okay, okay. So maybe there isn't. I was like, there's got to be something that like counts face. There probably still is something that counts face sounds in your card pool. We have 2 water characters with a face sounds in your card pool theme, so there's gonna be stuff that
I
keys
could-
off of this, but there'll be
I could
more
see a
Bridget
world
coded.
where you do like a creepy realization type card, but to make it a little more balanced, it's based on face downs in the card pool or something like that. There are definitely cards I could see you could easily pay off having face downs in your card pool without too much
Yeah,
difficulty.
yeah, like they made. I mean, Mina 2 exists. She says just damage equal to the, effectively damage equal to the number of face times you have in your card pool. I could imagine that on a foundation, for instance.
Yeah, me too. That obviously Akuma's in the a past
yeah, of
example
course.
where they got a little out of hand with this and made that really dumb one diff.
And yeah, like they made a competitive 6-hand size like mid-range character who had a like build your own kit with himself and Gyro Man, who was terrible. And it was like merely competitive. It wasn't really like even overpowered.
Yeah, it was
like, actually
it was
pretty
peak Boogeyman community raging at him to get this was like one of the biggest examples of the community throws an absolute fit about something for 6 weeks, and then 6 weeks later everyone's adjusted to playing against it.
Yeah, no, I mean, to be clear, I hated Akuma. I hated that character. But it was just fine. It was just fine.
Yeah. Everyone, it drove people nuts, and then like he just stayed legal forever, and
yeah, and
was
a little
never a
bit
problem
was like
with
the little marginal things, like blocking with foundations was actually safe and actually worked, and that you reversal him.
Yeah,
and that was actually a huge deal. Like the obeying existed, you could just seal. Anyway, we're in the weeds.
Overall, yeah, there's just not a ton to say about May. She's neat. And like I like characters that are deck builder wet dream types. Like I like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, for example. That was like a deck builder's wet dream deck, even though I don't think it's that competitive. And like I think for someone like anything that changes deck building rules immediately makes players who like deck building a lot really excited. And that's great for them. As someone who's more of like a polisher type who likes to find one character and like max that's like at the top and optimize it and just play that one for 6 months, it's not my kind of character, but I could see it clicking for a lot of people. Let's go next. You guys want to talk about some Happy Chaos, or you guys want to talk about some Kai next?
I mean, either one. We're gonna get to both anyway.
Let's talk about Kai, because I have more to say about Happy Chaos. So we're gonna...
more to say about Kai.
Is his name Kai or Ki?
It's Kai Kiske,
Kai Kiske.
I believe.
I would not have actually came to that on my own.
I think that's how you're supposed to do it.
I think that's right.
Japan doesn't have either of these spellings in its language, so
according to Jose, we're correct, so we're just gonna say we're right.
Yeah.
So
you said correct with like no timestamp and no reaction to anything.
actually, I don't know who it's correct to.
Kai is probably the 4th best character, and probably the last one I'd put on the fringe of like has a chance to maybe be good if someone finds the right brew.
638 is crazy though.
Man, the numbers in the set.
That's true.
So
I hadn't thought about that yet.
For chat, just in case you can't read the text because it's small on the screen, Kai Kiske has the champion keyword, which I think there are things that already work with champion, right?
There are a couple.
There's some.
Yeah, but nothing really crazy. There's nothing that screams it. His first ability is enhanced. This attack gets +1 or -1 speed. If your rival has 6 or more committed foundations, it gets +3 or -3 speed instead. In response, after your charge or range attack deals damage, commit or freeze one rival foundation. Boy, this guy feels very walk the dog coded. There's a lot more to say about this
They
character.
certainly know that card exists when they made this set.
Like if I had seen this text without like knowing anything else about the set, I would have been like, oh, this is Bridget, so she could play walk the dog insanely well.
Bridget also gets to do that.
She
I'll
does
tell
do
you the
good
truth.
walk
I'm
dog.
as far from a believer in this character as I've almost ever been in any character.
Yeah, I think it's gonna take some
Sell
work.
me on this guy. Yeah.
So I think one of the problems with a stun themed character is if you just run into a Rodon or something and they don't need that many ready foundations to operate, and he solves that problem on face, which is a good start.
Yeah.
He sure doesn't solve damage, right? You still need
Yes,
to figure out where
right.
your damage is going to come from. And you're not going to get the -3 speed defensively too much, but because he's leaning into the sort of some Mitch decks we're doing this style of trying to just play a bunch of I commit one, you commit ones type cards. I don't really know. We haven't, I guess I would say that aside from sort of Mitch, we haven't seen a lot of like that theme deck out in the wild to see how it can perform when it has a character that really, really synergizes with it.
Right.
And so I just don't know what the ceiling of that is. It could be nothing, right? But I think we've had in the past decks in that shape that were good, where they're doing a bunch of like I commit one, you commit one type stuff, and it adds up and it works out. I think I'm this old Sophicia is coming to mind that was kind of doing that stuff, and this character is your fortress frame, so to say. It's 10 years later, and that's probably not that good anymore.
Yeah.
But it's a shape that has, I guess, more potential than some of the other stuff in terms
Right.
of my belief level in the set.
And it is worth noting, like, if you get a good, like, turn 2 string, not even like a crazy one, just like a solid one where you get 2 or 3 damage on them, committing and freezing 2 or 3 of your opponent's foundations going into their
It's
turn
certainly
2.
commit or freeze.
Oh, it's commit or freeze?
Yeah.
Man, I was ready to be like, man, we're just going
No,
to tap their board.
I mean, that's fine. You just play stun moves and
Sure.
freeze them.
Yeah, even still, like being able to, because I think if you're playing on order, you already have so much access to stun on order. You could very easily be like use the freeze a lot on this, and freezing down 2 or 3 of your opponent's foundations going into their first or second aggressive turn can do a lot in a lot of matchups.
Let me hit you with my misanthropic cynic take on this character.
Sure.
Okay.
So I see what you're saying. Absolutely. Like he can like go first and like bully, put a beating on you and like stun you out and freeze a bunch of your stuff and really like put a speed bump in the way of your aggressive backswing or turn or whatever. And then against like some mouth breathers, they will be really frustrated and devastated, and they'll have the worst time playing that game. They'll be so upset. They'll punt. They'll walk right into your stuff. You'll get -3 speed. You'll very easily block all of them because you saw it all coming. And your Kiske player will like lay another little smackdown on them, put another 12 damage on the table, freeze a bunch more of their stuff, and just run away with the game and be completely one-sided. And
just the Johnny Cage argument we're going for here, right?
And then you play against a strong player, and you do this in your player 1 game. You are running away with it. You get your nice attack string down. You get your damage on the board. You freeze their stuff, and they play 2 foundations and path into you. And you're like, well, I got to keep attacking and freezing them because otherwise they're going to untap. And they'll be fully dangerous and fully looted. And I got to attack them. And then you attack them, and they block 3 times because they're a normal deck. They can block just fine. And now the game you're supposed to be running away with is flying away from you rapidly as they just casually play for incremental advantages right back at you because they're playing a character like, let's say, Tarion or Fanji, who isn't completely dedicated to having foundations as the core of their game plan, or they're playing a Godzilla who can pass some control checks, and they just play a 4 or 5 turn game instead of a 2 or 3 turn game like you want to, and they just do their thing and they beat you very easily. And then also they go first, and you're not as player 1, and now you're like playing attacks as player 2, trying to breaker 1 them with 1 freeze for 1 turn, hoping that you can land some hits. And the rate is just so bad here. I feel like this has to be tuned for like not bullying people too badly if they are weak players. And this is just very easy for strong players to play around.
So speaking kind of to that a little bit. So I played for a while. I was testing a freeze kendo deck because Water has a ton of freeze moves. She's a character who she got the extra stun for the Todoroki card that when it stuns 2, it freezes 2. And I'm like, that's enough reason to try her. And it was like, yeah, when I'm going first, I do a lot in the early game. But if my opponent just commits to building forever, I can really struggle to kill them. And I can still sometimes win those games because if you get enough freeze in the early game, you can just get enough incremental advantage over a series of turns to do it. I will say characters like this, I find really struggle going second. Just kind of don't know what to do when your opponent has a foundation surplus against you. And I don't know if this character would want to do something like Unyielding to equalize the board, because he doesn't get the commit or freeze off of Unyielding. And
Right.
it means that now he's just a +1 or -1 speed character, because they're at less than 6. He'll never get the
How can
+3
your
or
opponent have
-3.
6 committed foundations if you destroy 6 of them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another cynical way to frame this is you're working really hard to be 6 hand size Rodan with like
Yeah.
Yeah.
a
Yes.
couple modifications, right?
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about him.
But I'm gonna withhold some respect for the symmetrical commit stuff and
Sure.
him being a face for that compared to people were doing this with Chew until now, right? So I don't know what the ceiling of that is right now, but it's feels a little more unknown to me than like my moves get 1/1. I hope it's good.
Also, compare to that responsibility to anti-Titan artillery on a character who also has ±3 speed.
Yeah, right.
Right.
I do want to take a brief moment. It's not a ton to say about his UR, but I do want to take a brief moment and talk a little bit about his UR. It's got an interesting static. Your opponent must commit an additional foundation as additional cost player responsibilities during the attack. Can come up, telling your opponent that they have to have an extra foundation ready for a breaker, or for, really importantly here, a lot of DR moves, or their runaways or things that could matter. Like it's not insane, but it definitely can come up. And the responsibility for a 4 mid 5 that says if this pokes your opponent, draw 1. If they have 6 or more committed, draw it 2, is a pretty decent return. It reminds me a lot of the now it's only an uncommon, so maybe it's a bad sign. Reminds me of this. What's the Ida uncommon? That's like if you deal damage, draw 1.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's something.
Yeah, the one that's like if you deal damage, draw 1. If they have 8 or more foundations, draw another one.
Turbo speed dash.
The thing that makes me a little colder on this one versus that card, even though it's 1 more damage, is like that one, if your opponent was at 8 or more, no matter what, was a cantrip, and then it could plus more. This one requires you to poke to get any draw. And I don't know how that's going to really affect it.
Yeah, I see this card as like you might play it if you want the keywords.
Yeah.
Yeah, my analogy to this actually is just World's Weakest Hunter. This is what this reminds me of. You get a little less speed, you have a much substantially meteor damage, you get better block, you get good keywords.
4 and 5's like
responsibility
respectable
for something.
Yeah.
And the answer might be like in the same way World's Weakest Hunter is used. It's kind of used in Rodan, but I don't like it as much in Rodan. But it was really, really strong in the character Nick Reagan. He's my teammate. I don't know why I was blanking on his name.
This
guy. What I will say about this one is like in Nick Reagan, it was such a frustrating card because it got to good stats and then would draw 3. This one will draw 1 sometimes. We'll draw 2 sometimes. If you can get good speed and damage where it's like a decently threatening card, I might like him more. But I don't think there's a ton to say about the card. It is a very it's not breaking any of the rules of the game.
Sometimes you just need a 4 difficulty spell that doesn't have sad stats.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, of course, a 4 difficulty spell with this same distribution of stats, so I guess 1 more speed and 1 less damage on air, we could play Sweeping Daggers.
That's not a spell.
It's not always a spell.
Oh, I forgot you said.
Because most people don't spell.
Yeah. All right. Final character for the one that I have to go elsewhere to pull. Happy Chaos. Happy Chaos, for those of you who can't read it, at the start of the game, add 6 bullet counters to this card. He has all in Chaos. Enhance, remove 1 bullet counter. Your ranged attack gets 1 speed and 1 damage. If it deals damage, peek at the top of your deck. You may add it either to your hand or to your momentum, or leave it on top in theory. And it's a 6 hand size, 33 life character. He's cool.
Yeah. I like his flavor.
$400,000 to play this deck for 12 seconds.
Yeah, we were talking about Genkai a little bit earlier, and I don't want to completely disrespect the if it deals, do stuff with the top of your deck, but I have a hard time believing that that's strong enough to carry a guy that just gives all his stuff 1/1 and his ranged keyword locked.
And especially that without playing his SR, at least as far as we're aware, yes, he might get more through the set. But if he does not, without playing his SR,
if you've played 7 attacks, the game might not be far from over anyway.
Possibly. I'm thinking about like in matchups like Hanji, it would be really easy to run out of this. Although I guess you could just choose not to press the button until you're guaranteed you're going to get at least some damage off. Maybe a like really good player who knows exactly when to hit that bullet button could do a lot with it. And
like I said, he has at least one way to get the bullets. If the game stretches on so long that you're on your like 8th move and you haven't found that thing yet, I'm not
sure.
Yeah, it's there for flavor, and I think it's fine.
Sure. Yeah, I only mean as like a deck building restriction that you have to play these cards, and maybe potentially there could be an angle to attack it. But mostly he hasn't. I've seen it as this is an ability you have for free. Like this is like Kenny the Ripper, right? Of just +1/+1 to all your stuff, and you're gonna have a cool on hit whenever they deal. And if he sometimes has to ease off from that point, like that's just a negative. But I'm not overwhelmingly impressed by even that pitch. Well,
sure.
Actually, I'm going to change my tune a little bit. So with tension, when we talked about tension last time, I said, 1 momentum, we use base rate, that's probably going to go 3 damage somehow. You can figure out how to land a power.
Yeah, exactly.
That. Yeah. And if we keep that exchange rate that says on hit, get more momentum, now that's 1 speed 4 damage if we're just taking that same base exchange rate.
If we poke,
yeah. I don't want to like the momentum thing is not shouldn't be entirely thrown away. It doesn't feel as strong as other like 6 hand size stat stick characters.
Right.
Sure. Yeah. I do want to take a moment and talk about his SR.
It's fun, yeah.
It's pretty cool. It is a 2-check, which means that if he feels like he needs to use it to maintain bullet counters, then we are in a position where we're playing a little bit less consistency with our checks. However, even ignoring the bullet counter part, it has a very powerful effect. You can discard as many cards from your hand as you would like to draw the same number of cards and get that many bullet counters. Worth noting, just real quick, the discard is not a cost. So there is no like, I'm going to get screwed by a cancel ability here. If you do the discard, you're always going to get the draw like a Titan Cliff. I do think it's worth noting like Titan Cliff has consistently been one of the most played cards. Part of that's because of the popularity of Godzilla, but one of the most played attacks in the last couple of regionals. And like that card, yes, it also builds a 6-check, but it's very notable that it can discard up to 3 and draw up to 3. This one can discard as many cards from your hand as you want. If you're a 6-hander, it could be 5 for 5, 7-hander 6 for 6. If you've drawn extra cards throughout the game, you can literally chuck every single foundation in your hand to find attacks or every single attacks to find build. That's potentially a good enough ability to play out even as a 2-check outside of this character.
Right.
I don't know where you guys sit.
Extra is very, very powerful for sure.
Yeah.
I am just kind of curious if they're going to give us another way to spin bullet counters for characters that aren't Happy Chaos. But if they don't, it's whatever. Like the ability's fine even if you don't get to use those counters.
My dream, because this is going to give him so many counters, and like we said, like him burning through all 6 of his own is already an ask. I want a UR that's like semi-automatic mode that like clears 3 bullet counters to do something cool, like, and like then could synergize with this card. There is a lot that this could open up in terms of what the other cards could do with bullet counters.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, he does. If you're in on this, you do get to try to play some stuff that keys off of discarding cards or drawing cards, right? Now, Suzuki Flare is sort of the obvious one, but there's stuff like Let's Rock in this set that goes to your momentum when you discard it. Things like that exist. So,
yeah, I think he's cool though. I think he's going to struggle a little bit, but I think he's neat. I think he's a big win for flavor. I do want to point out, like, I think it is fun. And I understand I might be being a little hypocritical here because I haven't liked things like skill trees or other like ways to kind of force feed flavor. I think counters named after your main ability can be fun. And the revolver character getting 6 bullet counters at the start of the game is fun flavor. I will accept that.
We're wearing him down, chat.
Good luck on that one. Last but certainly not least, we have I know. I know says enhance change the zone of this attack. Your opponent may let you seal one of their foundations to cancel this ability. And response, after you change the zone of an attack, gets +2 damage. She is kind of through her true abilities. Build your own keyword gateless Mirio. You change the zone, you get 2 damage. If your opponent doesn't want you to change the zone, you get to seal one of their foundations, which can be really powerful. That's pretty good. And it also knows on offense and defense. You can change the zone of their attacks, or tell them, hey, you think that when I change the zone of this attack, it's going to allow me to full block. Let me seal one of your foundations to try to keep it going. That might do a lot here.
Yeah, I think this character is going to need a lot of intelligence to properly do everything, to like make the right calls on both sides of the field. Because obviously there are going to be times where like your opponent needs to play the mind games of whether or not they should let you seal something or change the zone, and then you need to know when to kind of like bait it and let that be okay if they choose to seal. So I think that's this character's biggest weakness, is when your rival just says, okay, my board sucks, just make it all blank. I don't care. You're throwing printed. It's not going to kill me.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a Punisher character. This is a character that puts control in your opponent's hands. And that is always worse than it's kind of than people tend to naively evaluate, right? Because it is not either of these two options. It is the worst of these two options. The less effective of these two options, as as your opponent is an intelligent person who can optimize their own game plan to make this less effective. But yeah, I think at the base rate, like if your opponent always lets you change zone, then you're Mirio on offense and you always full block on defense. That's pretty dope. That's pretty cool.
Right. Absolutely.
And then, yeah, I just want to like shout out to Red, the Roman cancel ability. It's now +2 damage.
Yeah. I think it's going to be valuable to find other ways to zone change, because if they're picking the worst of two benefits when you're on defense, like there's not a whole lot you can do to get around that, right? It's just you just have to be ready to. You can't just say, oh, I'm just going to play mono high blocks in my deck, right? You just have to keep pressing the button and see what they say and react accordingly. But on offense, because this is where you get your damage from. If you face a Godzilla, it's just like, I don't care. Seal everything.
Right.
My cards have no text defensively. Whatever. Deal 34 without your character giving damage.
Right.
So you're going to want to, and Set might have some. There's plenty that exist. Dexterous Assault's a pretty cool one.
Yeah.
That we like here. There are ways that red as mentioned, that Kevin mentioned. So you're going to be looking to pack some of your own zone changes, and it's not like they're redundant if they do let you change zone, because you can just change zone again.
Yeah, if she gets a repeatable zone change like Foundation or something, then I'm 100% down.
Let's just reprint Tape Swing. +4
repeatable offense
from
Foundations isn't allowed unless it's named Greater Goal. What are you talking about?
I will say with her, like, I do kind of wish she said, like, let you seal one of their non-character cards, because then if we get backups and assets, I think like the seal ability feels way more intimidating in a lot more matchups.
A lot of backup decks care about their foundations having text.
You just
some do.
You're a Hanji main.
I'm a Hanji main. I'm going to be like, look, the first one I'll let you zone change. I'm going to loyalty to that one. After that, seal the rest of my stuff. I don't care. But
some manipulations of Zeke, hell yeah.
I do want to call out because Broberg, you mentioned like it's all when your opponent has control, it's almost always worse, and that is true. There have been cards that have gone over that. Like there were a decent number of decks that were at least considering haunting of Hitoshi Shinso, and that one had 2 abilities to let your opponent choose. It was just they were both 2 really good abilities.
It's kind of a truism in game design. It goes back to, I think the most famous one of these is Browbeat. And occasionally these can still succeed. These can still be good. I'm trying to remember. We had one of these, like a year or two. I mean, I guess a long time ago, we had like for the money financial troubles. I think we had another one more recent that was like, it was the same kind of like your your opponent may
I
want
mean, I
to
think both of
cancel.
us played CA at some point, right?
Yeah,
He was doing a lot of that stuff.
There was another one like even in the MHA era that it wasn't haunting because that one was like kind of always a bridesmaid, never a bride. Never even like really made it into deck list
Shinzo
stuff.
himself did some or had a like your ability control. They could either discard the card or be forced to play it next. But Shinzo kind of sucks. Like that was just a bad ability.
I mean, the most notable one in our game right now is probably Vile Season, but Vile Season has definitely fallen a little to the wayside recently.
Yeah, your opponent makes checks.
Turn to Dust might have been what I'm thinking of.
That's probably
Yeah.
Reckon Kiske and Dark Leviathan, or sorry, back to Libra days. Oh, actually, Firestorm, or slightly more recently, Gravity Well was kind of a somewhat hot commodity. Like Davi 1 actually might be what I'm like groping toward, where probably not even that because he was relatively overwhelming, or maybe Button Collector. I don't know. Yeah, broadly like these are. Yeah, I guess anyway. Yeah, they are a bit worse than they look like.
Sure.
In a kind of naive evaluate, like what if I'm going to like pressure their stage and they're going to destroy, like it's like a destroy to cancel type thing. Your opponent never gets back into a corner by these. They always have some way out.
Right.
Yeah, and they're perfectly allowed to say like, I don't know, you'll always have on blocks. Okay, it's just like if you happen to hold the right ones. Catch my +3 speed.
I'll tell you the card that she has that gives the opponent a choice that I think is really scary though. Megalomania is a very scary card. It has two abilities. One, while this card is in your card pool, if there are 3 or more sealed cards in your rival stage, or in play, sorry, it can be in yours as well. Your other attacks get +1/+1. Pretty decent. Giving yourself +1/+1 can be good. And since it's also in both plays, if you have your own stuff that seals to do things, maybe there's something there. But what's scary here is the Blitz ability. Blitz. Seal 1 card in your rival stage. Your rival may spend 2 momentum to cancel this effect. Worth noting here, the difference between this and a lot of other your opponent gets to choose ability. Your opponent may not always have 2 momentum.
Yeah, 2 momentum is massively more than the escape valve it usually is.
And Kabuddy just put it best. In a lot of matchups, this can seal your rival's character. Ghidorah dies to this on turn 2. I mean, they can fill with doubt. They can do things to try to survive, Nonagon, things like that. But if they don't have the answer to this, they might just explode because you seal Ghidorah.
The cinema when Ghidorah just says, tap my face and blocks 3 times and lives anyway.
But sealing Rebel's character could do a lot. There aren't as many characters with incredibly powerful defensive abilities that can't play around this. Like Ghidorah is probably one of them because of his health. But you don't really have like a recovery girl type where like playing this card just murders them if you do it on the right turn. But there are enough characters, your Reiners, your Mirio-esque, your Ghidorahs, that even your Rodans.
Hanji or Rodan,
yeah. Peak does not like seeing this.
Oh, Hanji too.
Hanji
I didn't
does
even
not
think.
like
I didn't even
seeing
think
this.
about Hanji too. Telling Hanji too she doesn't get
Rodan,
a
of course.
damage. Yeah.
Yeah.
There are enough characters with strong defensive abilities that this being like, hey, we just banged your character. That's very scary to print on a card. Incredibly powerful.
Yeah, this is a lineage of I remember back in like Mega Man 1, there was I think Hyper Mega Buster was like target commit any card you put on stage plus contain 1 target commit anything else.
I won stuff with that card.
Yeah, like it's kind of a lineage of, and I think this is a little bit more exciting because often they didn't have this sort of like City Rampage adjacent text of auraing all of your other attacks. But I think this is like this past the Snellfest period is like this is a fair and reasonable card to print and like kind of unconditionally of what's going on in the meta. Like you'll see some play, you'll see people who are like really excited about like then they build around and always play 4x first card all my deck list, and they'll probably get pushed to optimize it in some other direction at some point instead. And if there's like a million Ghidorahs in your locals, show up with this and beat him up, and then then therefore those people that have some dialogue are having to counterplay the Megalomania. Like, I think this is a cool game piece to have in the format.
I like what Wub said. Like, there's even deceptively useful matchups for this. You do this to Pony. It means she's not discarding on your turn to get counters, so she can kill you more easily on her backswing. Like,
I love Pony.
there is a lot of matchups where this is gonna be really good. To the point where I'm looking at this, I'm going like, I was talking about this one in David's Discord. I could see a lot of aggro fire or void decks, or even mid-range fire or void decks being like, I'm gonna run this because if I get to open my turn 2 saying, at least in my sideboard, if I get to open my turn 2 going, you don't get your character that's going to stop me from killing you, and now I'm going to keep doing all my other stuff, man, that's really good. It's also got good keywords. Spell, that one's more character specific. There are some characters that does a lot for now.
That was literally how Jester can always have this if she wants.
Yeah, Jester can always have this, and that's pretty crazy.
Just to give your opponent a momentum to counter it.
Ranged, there are two things I can immediately think of that can pick this up. On a luck-based one, you've got Manipulations of Zeke. Cool. You probably would play this in a manipulations deck, or at least would consider this a manipulations deck. That's neat. I looked at this and I was like, man, I might put one or two of this in Hanji 1 because Beast Titan picks this up. And being able to at any time convert, be like, oh, cool, I'm going to pick this up, play it as my opening move. You better have two. Someone's pointing out Zeke 1 can play this too in the same way. That's pretty good. That can be kind of scary.
All these messages getting caught by the auto mod.
I noticed. Yeah, I've been like, oh man. I think there is a philosophical question of to what extent should character cards be sacred. Early MHA was kind of notorious for you had to jump through hoops and valleys, with maybe one or two small exceptions.
Yeah,
to
they
hit
printed
rival
Blood
characters.
Curdle, right?
Yeah, Blood Curdle was probably the freest one.
Well, the first secret rare was on hit chapter phase.
Yeah,
sure.
And so forces you to react to it a little bit. But
this is probably, since MHA 1, the cheapest do something to your opponent's character. Maybe Blood Curdle's close. It's this or Blood Curdle were the easiest ones.
That's fair.
And that's going to be very interesting to see, how that might shake up the meta. I don't know how good Recovery Girl does in a world where this card might see regular play. Maybe it's fine, but it'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, this is a good sweeping dagger. Sorry, that's a great point.
God, bad sweeping daggers. Bad sweeping daggers. I hate that card.
No. Then David would be right, and I don't want David to be right. Yeah.
Oh wait,
let the year end.
Yeah, you're right. Ban it.
He said it would get banned before rotation. Let rotation happen. I'm pretty sure that's what he said.
I don't want it at Worlds, man.
Wah wah wee wah.
I don't think David being right or not is worth.
That's fine.
The discussion of whether or not sweeping daggers is around.
It's fine.
I never want David to be right, though.
But yeah, I mean, yeah.
Why
So
would you
if
give him that much power over you, dude.
Yeah, if you're playing this card, it might get swept daggered, which means maybe you don't get to. Maybe you have to think about what you're playing defensively.
Right.
Yeah, Ghidorah playing this and then getting sweeping daggers would probably feel pretty bad.
It does. I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens when it's fighting. When people are actually putting lists together, and this is fighting with other 5 discs for space.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
For sure.
This
is
okay.
How do you play this card over Horndash Hammer, Pony's signature card? Tell me.
This is definitely.
I was going to mention things like Ice Sword Execution, which has the potential to have huge damage, and that it may be a tag team thing where this comes in or out of the side for Ice Sword depending on what you're up against.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah, Ice Sword stunning out the foundations you're taking out of the equation is actually a huge deal a lot of the time too.
I
know I had a spot where I had triple shrewd observations and my phone sworded me, and it was the most heinous experience of my entire life.
This is definitely one of those cards that, and which where 5 dips really should be, especially with how many good value 4 dips we have. Where this reads really powerful and really strong, but 5 diffs are a tighter space than 4 diffs. Does this, especially because this is not on a rampage symbol, We don't get to be like, hey, we're just going to cheese 5 diffs with Rampage and this is going to feel like a 4 diff now, which we can argue how real that strategy has ever been. This is going to be a 5 diff. Is that worth it? Maybe. Probably in some characters. Shoto 4 probably has a great time with this card.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I think it's a good game piece. It's a good game piece.
Yeah.
It's a good game
Yeah,
piece.
absolutely.
It's going to be around.
It
All
makes not better against decks she was already good against, but
Sure.
it's something.
That was everything.
Last thought before we move on, because I remember that this is a spell, which reminds me that Ino is
A mage.
a mage, which means that she unlocks the secret text on Widowgas Web of Fire.
Hey,
She gets to beat up some fascists.
That's actually kind of cool. Also, you know what this means? Fern gets fire spell support.
That character has to be legal first.
I don't know what that is. What's a fern? Which
It's
means
a
two
type of
ferns?
plant.
Yeah. I should get a fern.
I have a plant that they gave me when we moved to our new building at work, and it started off as like this little thing in a cup. It's like this big now. So,
Nice.
like,
Man,
we've had to repot it twice.
I'm so sad, man. I want Fern and Dorian. I want them to be
It's so
legal.
easy to just memory hole things and just like see it like, wow, that's cool. I'm interested when I'm allowed to be interested. And in the meantime, keep yourself busy with like all of the beautiful things and wonderful existence before you. The
But
future
then I don't
is
get-
not in the
but-
present.
Broberg, I don't get to complain then, and that's like half of what I do. So like,
He's right.
yeah.
Like,
You don't have to make your life worse in the present either. That's hard for you, dude. I can't
All right.
imagine.
Anyone have final thoughts on characters before we take a little bit of time to talk about Atlanta?
I think we're good.
I certainly couldn't possibly segue anything after that. Right? It's about not caring about previous season.
So we want to take a little bit of time and talk about Atlanta. I know we've spent a lot, probably longer than we were anticipating, talking about these characters. It's hard when there are 4 people who have 4
I
opinions on each
anticipated
character.
spending longer than we anticipated. So
Fair enough. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about Atlanta. How are you guys? You 3 are going. I'm staying here in my lovely little Texas home. How are you guys feeling about Atlanta? Just to start.
I think, if anyone wants to buy some services, again, DM me. I'm open to play the deck. I have all the cards in front of me. And I think I had some big ideas on what might be cool to play with, but I'm not kind of looking at it kind of the same way I did Toronto of like, I want to play something that's enjoyable to play and to play some universes, and I'm gonna let the cards fall where they may, and that's gonna be fun.
For sure.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
yeah, I'm pretty. My motivation on this one's pretty thin, admittedly. Right, we got the 200 points. I'm not that excited about trying to chase the UVS Games pays for travel.
Yeah.
Just because, okay, it's $500, but I'd rather, try to do things that are more interesting than pulling known quantities.
Mm-hmm.
I don't find a whole lot of playing a pony or whatever. It's fine. I can do it if I need to do well at an event, but I don't really enjoy game plan decks that much, where it's just I'm gonna do this thing, and that's a
That's
lot of the
reasonable.
top decks in the meta. Besides maybe Peak, or maybe a Reiner or something like that. But so there aren't too many decks that I like that are in that known quantity world, and I decided at some point I was just going to full send. I'm going to play 4 Driven by Retribution in something, and that doesn't really overlap with some of the known stuff that I would like.
Sure.
So I messed around. So I tried some Raphael. I've tried some different things, but I'm going to end up running this Ryu list. That he has fire. He has it's fire main symbol. It's going to have some void attuned cards. There's a bunch of good ones there.
He's got such good symbols.
Yeah, he gets to play Pale Rider, of course, right? That's kind of bread and butter for him. So we're going to play Pale Rider. We're going to play some Double Fist of the Mortal Flame. We're going to play a whole bunch of fire and attuned cards that are kind of techie pieces, right? We're playing Visage. We're playing Driven. We're playing Forcing Surrender. We're playing Drowning and Resentment. It's just, a bunch of we're playing Barrier Shield, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
We got some Titan Stone gauntlets hanging around.
Ooh.
So we're just going to see, how far we can get with this sort of the offense is pretty murky, right? I have +2 damage, and sometimes it's +3 if I get a Haymaker down, and but will be disruptive enough that will let us figure it out somehow.
For sure.
I'm down for that.
And that is, I was thinking about that. Though I'll figure out how to win somehow is kind of my favorite kind of deck. Right? Like, here's a bunch of stuff that's pretty good. It has some synergies. It has decent power level to it. This one doesn't quite have the power level that I'd be looking for if this was super serious.
Right.
Sure.
But I kind of like going into a match not necessarily knowing, how I'm going to try to play it. I'm just going to see what I draw, see what they do, and figure out how to win. Right? That's kind of how Not works. That's kind of how the Devron Sam worked. So a lot of the decks that
Oh yeah.
I've liked, which isn't always the decks that I've done well with. But
Even when I first known you playing competitive decks, I remember like one of the first decks I knew you played in MHA era was like Sato 1.
Oh yeah, yep. That was very much like that. Yep.
Yeah. Will, what are you taking?
Oh, bro, I don't know. I've got 3 different decks together. I'll make a decision on the day of. I'm literally going to put them all onto UGN tonight, and then I'll make a decision sometime tomorrow.
Sure.
Could not
Like
possibly be me.
I'm leaning towards Godzilla because that has the best matchup out of my decks against everything I can think of. But I might just say screw it. I don't care about the decks that I don't feel comfortable with playing, and just play like Zeke or Devil Jin or something like that.
Playing Godzilla, boring.
Look, man, Big Lizard. I like Big Lizard.
You've been playing Big Lizard for a long time, right? Like
kind of like I played him in St. Louis last year, I think.
Did you play him in Worlds? Who'd you play in Worlds?
No, I didn't go to Worlds this year.
Oh, I thought you were in the last champ.
No, I played a Godzilla flavored Mimic at Nationals.
Sure.
And then I played Godzilla at either St. Louis or Atlanta. I don't remember which. Which one came first?
St. Louis or Atlanta?
Last year?
St. Louis was summer, Atlanta was fall.
Okay, then I played Godzilla in Atlanta. But yeah. I've played the deck a lot, but I have not really taken it to a lot of regionals. I've been kind of flip-flopping a lot.
Sure. I'm gonna ask like just some questions to see what. Obviously, this might change a little bit depending on what you're playing, but if you could pick one matchup that you can guarantee you don't fight on Saturday from the meta, what's the one matchup you'd be like, I don't want to play that deck? Because I know for me, like, even though I think I have a fine matchup, if I was going, I can't stand the Deku 6 deck. I never want to play against Deku 6.
I just like ban one deck from the format, just like not have to put up with it.
Yeah,
that's a really curious question. Like, what would it improve my life the most?
And I'll accept also, like, for example, if you want to say like 9 Titans decks, if you could dodge that.
Yeah, if I wasn't like built to spite them, I'd say heist decks, but I'm playing 8 pieces of main deck hate for heist decks.
Yeah, I'll say heist decks. Like I'm playing Earth Godzilla, so I get Forcing Surrender to deal with heist.
Kind of.
But I still yes. Yeah. Right. I mean, if it's Devil Jin, I get rid of his heist. I sure do, and then I still die because he's Devil Jin.
No, he just flips Aerial Goblin Bolt, dude.
That's fair. Or that. I just have to have more more copies. It's fine.
Many. Yeah.
How many matches have you played against me with Not? Or actually, were you on Not when I was playing Deku that one time?
Yeah. I think that was a Not match. Yeah.
Because I think I'm 0-4 in games against Not with Pete.
You're literally gonna be like, my choice is Not. I want to dodge Not.
My choice is not the Brave. Whatever the hell Goblin.
Yeah, that deck is very good if you're just trying to fight. Right. Good if it's in a fight with a Peak or Rodan or a lot of the like second tier decks right now, Not is very good against. It's whether or not she has answers to someone's game plan deck is a little more fuzzy, right? She doesn't really want to see heist. She's not a big fan of Pony, for instance.
Right.
Well, good news for you, Broberg. I don't know if I can guarantee that they're not going to dodge their matchups. I think you're probably going to dodge Not.
I'm safe. Yeah.
I think you're probably good.
I'm not too stressed about it, but like, everyone else, I'll just fight them. I don't know, whatever. I'll figure something out.
You'll just win.
I was gonna joke and say I'll just bring Not. I've never played that deck. I would get my ass beat so hard.
I think the Not deck is very hard to play correctly if you've not had a lot of reps.
I think it's a cool deck too, but I just I couldn't play it, at least not with 0 reps.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely in the bucket of like stuff's gonna happen, figure it out.
Absolutely.
what absolute trash was I trying to cook up with Nod? I think it was gonna be that I was gonna try to get myself to 0 cards in hand so I can do the
Oh
kind of
yeah,
wisdom
yeah, yeah.
trick.
I've thought about that kind of stuff a few times.
And
There's some very
there's
funny
gonna
stuff you can
be,
do.
and we're gonna try to be blinking the hostile productions to burn them, and also
Oh yeah, I think I've heard
spend the
this.
momentum on the Toga weapon foundation that stuns them when you ready it, and
Mhm.
also triggering Theomagoth for -2 damage.
Yep.
I'm trying to think what other things I
Yeah,
would
so
want to hear.
yeah, as is what I would actually not want. Probably actually Hanj as a Ryu deck facing a DR pile. I don't think I can kill a DR pile. Honestly,
As someone who's
I just
played,
don't think they're gonna show up.
yeah, I don't think so. After Canada, I think especially because I was the only Hanji there, and mostly because of my own poor play. As a result, Hanji did not top Canada. I think the Hanji players have mostly moved over to Zeke. I don't necessarily think Zeke is the better character. I think I would still take Hanji, but I think she is less likely to show up as a result because I think like people do pay attention to top cut results a lot when making their deck decisions.
I think if we're expecting Godzilla to be most represented deck, which we probably are, I would rather be Zeke.
Sure.
Sure.
Zeke's also really fun to play.
Yeah.
Garrett's going to play some corrupted Zeke list. That's, I'll call it suboptimal, but it's Garrett. So he's just playing a bunch of cards. He's like, oh, this looks cool.
Hell yeah.
Cards
I
I
remember
like
being in
bot
Toronto.
deck.
I took Caden's deck and I said, I'm playing I'm here now.
Yeah, but this is Garrett. So instead
of
of one of those,
Yeah.
there's like 20 of those.
yeah, there's like 20 of those that they're like not funny. Like I'm gonna pop off on the board real fast. They're like I'm gonna do this edge case control piece. Haha.
Yeah.
Which is it's certainly peak universes if it works.
It's fine.
It
He's running
doesn't,
2
well-
bagpipes, so I'm happy.
What do you guys think?
Life symbol.
I don't like saying what could win because I think anything that makes top cut can wind up winning. So I think saying what do you think is going to win the event always feels a little misguided at times. What do you think is the most likely or going to have the most tops? If you were to pick like one deck that you are confident, besides maybe your own, will top.
It always depends on what people show up with, obviously.
Yeah.
I think if there is, Tam's been talking about the deck a fair bit. I think if there is like a Devil Jin Society that shows up in some force, I think he'll catch a bunch of people.
Yeah, I
I'll
mean,
put it
there's
to the
always
top.
MGLA often has, and I don't know how many MGLA people are there, but MGLA often has like they find a deck, and not everyone takes it, but you'll see like 6 or 7 of their people play that deck. Really,
Yeah.
like you saw it a little bit with Elder Togro and stuff like that.
Right.
So it could always
Yeah,
depend on like, do the crew show up?
Yeah, you want to play A or B? You want to bet equipment heist or more equipment heists? What's the line on equipment heist? 5.5 equipment heist stacks in top cut.
Equipment Heist
high or
versus
low?
Titan Cliffs.
Ooh, yeah, that's the game. That's the game. Yeah. Ooh,
I was
think Titan
almost a
Heist.
Titan Cliff Ryu until Jesse milled me with April.
I think more Titan Cliffs are going to be in top cut than equipment heists. I would feel like I'm willing to say that.
I think it'll be more heists. I think Titan. There are people playing Titan Cliff outside of Godzilla, obviously, but there aren't like, in like the known top decks bracket. There's like two different heist decks and
Sure.
people looking for more, and there's a Titan Cliff deck, and
Sure.
people that want to play that are probably just playing Godzilla.
Massive Mutant Machine or 9 Titans?
Massive Mutant. Massive
That's
Mutant
tough.
Machine. I think. I think the problem is, as we said, I think there's only really one deck right now really using 9 Titans that well. Well, 2, Hanji and Zeke. And the same players are going to choose one of those 2. So you're not getting like 2 different sets of players show up. And I think there are a lot of decks that play Massive. And it's a fun card. Like a lot of people have been having fun with it.
Yeah.
So it's going to be attractive because people want to do silly stuff. I think it's MMM.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think it's going to be interesting. We're in I won't call it a solved form. I'll call it a known format, right? People have very clear ideas of what they think is good and what's going to be around. And very often especially an event of this size, ends up getting taken down by something more left field.
Sure.
Right. It's the Irwins and the Endeavors and the Midnights and the Hanj 2s and etc. that win these kinds of events a lot of the time. And it'll be interesting to see for a meta that people have complained about a bunch, if somebody does find that, this meta's Krista, for instance,
Yeah.
Right.
and winds up cutting through to take the event.
Absolutely.
I could see it. I mean, maybe not a completely off the radar character, but I could see someone, solving Donatello, for instance.
If and that might be a fun question. What would you pin as the Krista of this format? If you were to obviously part of Krista is unknown, but if you were to think something in the water, in the outskirts that might show up and actually take the whole thing, I think it is probably Donatello's my first gut instinct.
Bishop.
Yeah, I don't know if you're allowed to say this about a deck that won a regional, but I'm a believer in Reiner 1.
Oh,
I like that
can.
OCE list a lot.
Sure.
I like that OCE list a lot. I think, and I don't think it's necessarily a solve deck. I could see it getting a little more optimized. And
anybody who plays is going to change 10 cards, yeah, for sure.
Sure,
but
but I could see it easily taking a regional down.
I'm trying to think if we're doing A or B, what's the other card on the other side from Sweeping Daggers?
What's the other card that? Is there something else in this format that just represents a ban list?
In another
Sweeping Daggers or Walk the Dog?
That's what was the one I was thinking of, but the answer is Sweeping Daggers. Easy.
Yeah.
If we were at a different time, I would have been it would have been more of a question, but I think I'm confident saying Sweeping Daggers shows up more. I don't even necessarily think it's better. I think it shows up more in Top Cut.
Sure.
Like Godzilla and Friends? Don't count for nothing?
Yeah, I think Sweeping Daggers does great into Godzilla and Friends. And I don't think
I don't know how many dagger symbol decks are super, they're not the top decks list doesn't include a whole lot of Sweeping Daggers, right? If you were to the big five or whatever people like to call it.
Also the counter argument against the Walk the Dog and Godzilla part is that Godzilla could also just show up twice in Top Cuts and be on different symbols, right?
And
you could have an Earth
Godzilla
Godzilla make it.
Anything, really.
Yeah.
And especially the Earth symbol has seen about as much. I mean, it didn't win a regional like the Chaos one did. Or was he on Earth? What was he on?
Tahan was on Chaos.
That's what I thought.
Calvin was on the most, one of the most stock Chaos lists you've ever seen, except he had a super punch from the All for One super punch for lols.
So I think given how much popular the Earth one has been in recent memory, it is very likely that even if a Godzilla top cuts, it's not running Walk the Dog because it's just not on the right symbol.
I think you're a little final round pilled there.
Maybe it is.
I don't think Earth is popular outside of your group.
Sure.
Yeah. I don't think it's super popular. I think it's good, but not popular.
Hunter's Ally or what's another good one?
The answer is Hunter's Ally.
I mean,
sorry, I'll let you finish. But
I don't think it's Hunter's Ally. If it's Hunter's Ally, Titan Clip, I think Titan Clip clears. For instance,
I would say Vast Hybrid, but it's probably about the same there too.
Oh, Hunter's Ally Kraken is kind of spicy. Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Hunter's Ally.
Pony decks are are double dipping. You got all the Chaos decks are probably Krakening.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
I don't think there's too many life Hunter's Ally people out there.
I wanted to say Hunter's Ally, and I think
if we had 2 more weeks, I might have tried to cook a Ymir, but
it's weird.
I felt like it was going to take more than one local to figure that out.
That's fair.
It's a weird question because
it's fun.
I think Hunter's Ally is going to feel more impactful in games, but if you're going raw number of copies, it might be Kraken, just because also Godzilla plays Kraken and things like that.
Yeah, there's a lot more decks that will have a couple Kraken in their sideboard or something too, right? Yeah.
But Hunter's Ally, when it shows up in the right games, when it's in the right decks, it's because it's doing something incredibly powerful with building in allies.
Is Inspiring Song the most played card, or is it anything else in the room?
Ooh.
In all of the
Inspiring
in the
Song
entire,
or the field?
in the entire room?
I'm
or
going
in
Inspiring
Top Cut?
Song. Yeah, it's 100% an Inspiring Song. Because Zeke, Godzilla, Devil Jin, anything on Chaos, anything with the Chaos symbol is playing
Yeah.
like a 4 of.
It's. Do you think more than half of the field will have the chaos symbol?
The
Well,
field in general,
they don't
or the
have to.
Top Cut field?
Because it's not half field has the chaos symbol. It's every. Is there a different attune card that's going to be in half the decks?
right.
I think
He's probably thinking of Moment of Normalcy.
I am thinking of Moment of Normalcy.
Oh,
Shows
okay.
up in 2 copies in like 80%. We looked, it was like 80% of decks or something ridiculous had at least 1 copy of Moment of Normalcy. So like, does Inspiring Song beat out Moment of Normalcy? I don't know.
I think in
so.
Top
I think there's a lot of
probably.
people that just don't play it.
Yeah.
I don't know about.
Yeah. And if we credit Inspiring Song for 4x in 4x decks and Normalcy in 1 or 2, then I think it clears it on that.
Maybe. Also, are we talking Top Cut or in the room? Because you said in the room.
I just said in the room because I thought I was thinking back to previous events when people did the math and figured out what the most played cards were, and Inspiring Song was at the top of the list a couple of events in a row. So I'm like, how does is that going to keep happening or not?
Trying to remember what. Yeah, I don't know.
Man, I can't wait to check out Metaverses for this event.
This is a this is also a call for UVS Games to make a really cool alt Inspiring Song promo. It'd be worth so much.
God,
and if the art's really sick, people would want it so much.
I do want to
it'll sell out within 2 minutes.
I do want to take a moment and
copies.
praise UVS Games for one thing. From Canada, I don't know if I mentioned Canada or not, but we'll show people Atlanta. I think the alt arts for TMNT had some really good choices for the prize wall. Pizza Party was like neat, and then Equipment Heist was a fantastic prize wall promo. And I hope
we'll see if it survives another week.
It won't. It is getting bought out at Atlanta.
I mean, there's a ban list on Tuesday. Right. It's probably going to depend on if the Devil Jin army takes over or something. It could end up.
I'll say Heist survives the ban list unless literally like 3 of top 4 are Heist decks. I don't think
I'm not going to make any assumptions about what UVS Games is thinking or not thinking.
Right. Yes, Tim, because
I think it could definitely be on the dartboard.
Tim, you are boring and you refuse to make assumptions about UVS Games, and that's boring.
Yeah, I personally, I'm a big enthusiast for ad hominem arguments. I think I just like projecting my beliefs and opinions on other people and then destroying the straw man.
Exactly. I'm glad you understand, Broberg. I'm glad you understand, Broberg.
Tim, I'm on your side, buddy.
This is how we do it in Texas, right? That's the way to live.
Exactly. Have you seen Ted Cruz? This is how we do it in Texas.
Ugh.
I try not to be honest.
Yeah, I've certainly given up making predictions about ban lists. I'll just talk about what I think is on the dartboard, and I'll just imagine them throwing darts at the board.
I do like that idea.
I want to talk about peak universities. That's what I'm here for. Come on, guys.
I do like the idea that UVS Games has a literal dartboard. I hope that they do that, and like they'll put more copies of the cards they want to hit more, and that's why some cards dodge forever because they're just bad at darts.
I don't think they literally do that, but I think
I choose to believe it, honestly.
Yeah, if I'm getting specific, like there's some randomness in the flow of conversation, right? Like,
do you think it's impossible to measure, but do more people get killed by 10 damage attacks or bigger, like double-digit damage attacks, or smaller than double-digit damage attacks?
My brain for a second thought this was going to be like a real do people get killed by X thing, not a card game thing.
Do people get killed by darts?
I think
I was like, what? Don't get killed more by big attacks or by small attacks? Is that what you're asking?
By attacks with 2 digits in their numbers, like 10 plus, 20, like Deku one shots or 30.
If we were saying over under 8, I think this might be harder. But I think
if it's over under
the
10,
number of decks that are turning out double digit regularly are not that numerous. It's
every massive mutant machine attack is 1 in 10.
Sure.
Every like 9 Titans doubles are always 1 in 10.
Yeah, I guess Mutant Machine. Yeah.
Godzilla
actually-
is normally throwing 8 or 9 unless he sees
Godzillas
a.
are wonderfully straddling the line where City
Yes.
Rampage puts most of them to 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
He
not
has.
Rampage
If he
is-
doesn't see a City Rampage, he's still killing you, but it's only 9 damage.
Also
per.
worth noting, the Hawks Mutant Machine decks actually often kill you with 8 damage moves.
Or 9, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, like because setting the standards into anything into +5 is exactly 9. Yeah.
So I think
I think it's under 10.
I think it's under 10 does more. I think if it was, I do agree with Tim. If it was over 8, I would say it's over 8. I think it is somewhere in the range of 8 to 9. Like, is the line?
Yo, I need to pitch this idea to
I sure hope it is, because
casters to
Ryu's
talk
not doing
about,
10.
and to just like track this on stream and to yap about it is like the subject of Discord to bounce
Knuckle
off
Sandwich
of.
does 9. We'll get there.
All
I
right,
was like,
Chad.
Ryu is doing 10 if you have like 3 different things in your stage.
Chad, who's detail oriented enough to like track how
No.
everyone dies in the rounds of the regionals
No.
the
and
streams?
can report
No.
back to us? I'm
We can do
not.
it- we can track it on stream. It's not that hard to track on stream.
That's what I'm saying. Who wants to watch the stream games and do that math? I refuse.
You could
I'm
literally.
not
you're even
interested
playing.
enough in the question.
Dealing damage is one thing. Dealing damage is like almost certainly the small attacks. You can like Pony hits you 4 times, whatever. But I think just the kills, like there's gonna be like 20 games on stream. It's not that hard to count.
Alright.
I will do this next week after we get back if
Sounds-
it's funny.
Sounds great, Broberg. I'm so down. I love to see those stats. We are hitting kind of the 90-minute mark. Does
Yeah.
anyone have any thoughts about Atlanta before we wrap things up?
I'm looking forward to
don't
finding
sign
out
up.
about tomorrow night's announcement after the fact when we get off our
True.
airplane.
Don't sign up. Keep it to top 8 the way the tournament should be run.
I mean, apparently that's what Magic
don't-
does.
I
but
don't know if
Magic
you're going to
also-
get that one, Kevin, but fair.
I'm not. Are they already over the line?
I mean, I think they're at 128 the last I checked.
Holy
I
shit.
love how
Nice
Broberg's literally like, I want our game to be less popular so we can guarantee top 8.
No, it's 129 already. No.
Oh.
I'm
So
sorry, too many
I
people are showing up to support our game, Broberg.
I want good tournaments. I don't relish like going X2 and squeaking in. Like I want it to fucking matter.
Yeah, I think Broberg is a fan of the way Magic is currently doing it. They're always top 8, although it's like 3-day tournaments every single time because obviously I have a ton of people. It's top 8, but you play best of 5 in top cuts. I was watching the Pro Tour thing this past weekend, and I was like, that's a really interesting way to do it. But I personally don't like cutting the top 8 with that many people. But that's
For
just
sure.
me.
Yeah, and I can pitch you a lot of frames on this. Like I think that this is partly important. Like I've gone XO at a bunch of tournaments and then double drawn in, and that's really lame. Like I'm like first seed after doing that. It's like my
Sure.
tournament's over really for no reason. And like I've bubbled tournaments in X1-1 and then like cheered for my friend who got to play in top cuts, and like 4 rounds of top cuts is an unmanageably large number. You have a lot of people who are like high seeds and then lose, and like they're completely forgotten, even though they had an objectively amazing weekend and by 1 early elimination, and then they're just in a big sea of like the 9 to 16 bracket is just like too many to consciously wrap your head around, let alone compared
Sure.
to the when you have the 8 much more important people at the top. I don't know.
Mhm.
I have a lot of frames on it that I feel very strongly about, but whatever.
That
Maybe
sounds like
I'll
a
keep them like
conversation
I
for
do with
another.
people.
That sounds like a good conversation for another week. Go ahead and wrapping things up since we are hitting that time. Let's talk about channels. Broberg, what you got?
Yeah, I have Build Universes, Build UDS on, I don't know, a website and YouTube and Twitch, and I think I briefly streamed on the. Yeah, I streamed on the other day on, was it Saturday? And I'm also featured on UK Versus. I forgot to save my VOD at all, so it's completely lost in the ether. But you could have watched me brew some retro decks, and I had a great time. And you can also watch the UK Versus production of the Great British Bake Off, Great UK Bake Off. Retro edition where we brewed up some retro decks around some secret ingredients, and it was a lot of fun.
I have Satona CETONIS on YouTube. Most recent video is still a few weeks back now, is a top 20 prospects of characters that have not shown up in a top cut since rotation that have some chance to like at least be fringe, or like if you really cook something, you might be able to get something done with it. Kind of if you're familiar with baseball prospects, you'll get the vibe that I'm going for. Next video, still, I'm not sure. I've started a like budget series. I might continue talk about like some good like $1 rare type cards that you can pick up if you're trying to make a good deck for your locals or whatever without buying $40 sweeping dagger type cards.
Sounds good. Yeah, I am Double Mulligan on Twitch. I haven't been able to stream the last couple weeks because we're ending the end of the first quarter at my school, so things have been kind of busy. I'm getting fall break in like a week and a half, so I'm really hoping to do some cool stuff for that week I have off. So I will probably be announcing on next week if things land into place like how I wanted to. Will?
As always, I'm running the YouTube for our VOD channel, youtube.com/4checkscast. I'll be downloading this episode as soon as we wrap up here. I'll probably have it uploaded on Tuesday since I'll be out of town until Monday night, more than likely. But yeah, definitely expect episodes to be uploaded on Mondays or Tuesdays.
Sounds great. Is there anyone for us to raid as we're wrapping up?
I got nothing.
Nothing card game related.
Yeah.
Well, we are just going to go ahead and end the stream. Thank you all for tuning in. We really appreciate it. We will see you all next week. Have a great day.
Hey.
Good night, everyone.